together so they can try things. You're invited to this podcast so that you can try things. Now we will stop singing so that we can all now try this.
Hello and welcome to Now Try This, the podcast where two best friends get together every week to try something new. I'm Marcus, and that is...
I'm not the Nick you know. I'm Nick from Earth 4625, where it's almost exactly the same as ours, except my bottom half is a panda bear. Guys, this is Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse episode. This is Marcus's challenge. Why is he challenging me? Because that's the point of this podcast. Every week we challenge each other to try something that we love, something that we're interested in, something that we're doing. And this week, Marcus has given me a little spide. And my bottom half is a panda.
Challenge. I like the concept of having a bottom half only universe where that is the only thing that has changed in the entirety in the universe. And not even that everyone has bottom half pandas, just you have a bottom half panda and nothing else has changed.
No, I kind of made it seem like this world is different, but this world, you're trying to say this world is not different.
Yeah.
Just me.
Just you.
Just I
have a bottom half panda. That's the only thing that's different about this universe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think about that? Where's that Spider-Man? Where's that Spider-Verse movie?
What do you think? So think about who you are right now. I want you to think about what is the coolest version of you out there. Think about all the twists and turns you've made in your life. And what is the version that you think is the coolest? I think the coolest version of me out there in another world would probably be either the math teacher that's like living in like Ithaca. That's like honestly the most happy version of me because everything's just so easy and simple and I'm just chilling. Like our buddy Andrew, I married another math teacher and I'm just chilling with a couple babies and I'm living my best life.
That's the coolest version of you?
No, that's just the happiest. I think the coolest version of me like fights as a spy that specializes in lasers.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I think it could have been a spy in one of these worlds. What about you?
I think I am the coolest version of myself.
Every other version of you fucking failed, is awful, did not make it, did not do anything interesting.
Look, there's happier versions of me out there. There's like stronger, smarter, faster. I'm just the coolest one.
There are stronger, faster versions of you out there, but not cooler.
There's a version of me that became a billionaire and died in a submarine. I'm sure that happened.
Well, there's a version of you that went to college for acting, and you're like could be like a Broadway star right now.
Not as cool as me.
Okay, there's probably a version of you out there,
but definitely that happier.
Hold on, that like is like CEO of WizKids Hero Clicks, like out there, right? That's pretty cool, bet.
It's pretty cool, but it's like, look, in order to be CEO, you have to step on other people, and I'm not about that.
Okay. There's a version of you that never left New York and has like 6 kids with 3 different baby mamas. That's cool. That's pretty cool. That's a cool guy. That's a cool guy. That's a pretty cool guy. That's a pretty cool guy. I don't know in my book where you come from. That's a pretty chill motherfucker right there. That's a cool guy. That's a pretty cool guy. That's a pretty cool guy. You're right. According to every woman back home, that would be a pretty cool guy. That's all you gotta do.
That's the kind of guy you see and you just give a little.
Listen, who's cooler? Looking at you, a person that I don't know if you've ever had sex, or looking at a guy where I know he's had sex 6 times with at least 3 different women. Who's a cooler guy? Who's the cooler guy?
Are you saying because I don't have kids, you don't know if I've ever had sex before?
Where's the proof? There's only one thing I can be 100% sure of is if your DNA is rocking in another body juice package, then you've had sex.
You don't know because you don't get the test. So you didn't see the test. You don't know if that's my kid.
I don't know. I look at Andrew's baby. That baby looks like he's fucking their kid.
You've known
Andrew, it's real. So Andrew I know he fucks.
Damn, man. Okay. I'll work on that. I'll have a kid.
All our friends all in our main friend group. I don't know if any of them be fucking.
That's a bad precedent because then
my sister, she's got 3 kids. I know what's up.
It's a bad precedent because then you just like gay relationships. Don't know if they're fucking.
That's what I'm saying.
if they
my
adopt,
goodness.
then they're definitely fucking because it's like
You wouldn't adopt a baby unless
you're
you are
fucking.
having intercourse with that person. Like,
Mhm.
why else would you
Why
like go
else
to
would you
those
do
lengths,
that?
right? It's like when you buy an expensive car to prove you have money, you adopt a child to prove.
What is
Marcus,
this?
what
happening?
Marcus, what is going on, buddy? Why last week, guys, we did a Patreon episode. Dear Mama, check it out. Tupac, we learned a lot. We looked inwards towards ourselves, and honestly, it really, really taught us a lot. It was actually really cool. Go check that out. And guys, go join the Patreon at patreon.com/nowtrythiscast to come and join the party to help us decide on what we're gonna do next time. It could literally be anything.
That's
It
true.
could literally be to have a kid. You can tell us to try to have a kid.
Yeah,
I'll go try.
I'll try.
I'll try for you guys.
I'll try.
For
I'll
you
try,
guys,
and
I'll
I'll
go
film
try.
it, and I'll upload it, and it'll be great.
If that's what everyone wants, that's what everyone gets.
That's what people are paying for. Then
Old Man Rom. What about 3 Men and a Baby, the 80s film? Ooh, see, that's complicated. They've all clearly had 1/3 of sex.
Is that what that movie's about?
Yeah.
They've had a third of sex.
Collectively, all 3 of them have had
So
sex.
when you have a kid, you've only had half of a sex, and then when you have 2 kids, that's when you've had 1 sex. Because based on what you're saying, any couple with 1 kid has not had complete sex.
I don't have a way out of this box that I've created.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Have you been to speaking of trying stuff new, have you been to the manga store near Bryant Park?
Yeah. The one that's
I just went there for the
2
first
floors?
time. Yes, and it is called Kinokuniya. Is that right?
Something like that.
I've been meaning to go, and you walk in, it's this cute little bookstore, and I was like, oh, this is cute. Downstairs there's like Japanese stationery, and I was like, wow, this is really nice. And then I was like, what's upstairs? Oh, it looks like multimedia stuff, and it's a whole floor of freaking American manga, Japanese manga, straight from the fucking just printed from over there, and all these figurines and stuff. I bought a new figure.
Oh, which one?
I bought
an
Ichiko Kurosaki.
That's
Look
cool.
how beautiful that is.
That's pretty nice.
$18.
Wow, that's good.
That's
Joseph and I went there.
amazing.
That's crazy.
That's amazing.
We did not see that when we were there.
Oh my god! And it's by Band Presto. It's like a real company.
Yeah.
It's not like a bootleg one. And just for context, the other day I went to one of those cute stores near Times Squares, and I spent $16 on this. On one of those little gotcha things.
Yeah. That's nice. It's not bad.
It is nice, but like the same price.
Yeah.
This is clearly from a vending machine thing, and this is almost like a full-length featured. Like it's as big as my head.
Yeah.
Look at that Ichigo. I mean, this thing's like flying out. Like it's so nice. Look at his sword.
That's very
Anyway.
nice. You can also like paint it too. It's bigger, easier to paint if you wanted to like give it some more details or something.
Oh, perfect. And since I was there and I was floored by it, I got Joseph for Father's Day because I was like, cool. This Rock Lee one.
Oh wow, that's pretty sick.
Also $18.
That's pretty sick.
Like I wanted to honor our best friend for Father's Day, but I didn't want to spend more than $18.
Yeah, that's fair.
For clarification, I meant just
English
translated manga,
not
Old Man
American
Ron. But
manga.
they also have
comic
all,
books.
they also have all the webtoon published things too. So kind of, yeah, American manga too. Like they had all those stuff from Lore Olympus to Usagi Yoshinbo. But it was so cool. That was something I tried new. I actually had something to show off. What have you been up to, Marcus?
Oh, nothing new. Same old. Working hard and
working hard and playing hard.
And working hard, and guys, hear me out. I'm in a game funk right now. I would like to be playing
Talking about video games.
A video game. I would like to be enjoying some kind of video game. I started playing Darkest Dungeon, and that's been, even though it's doesn't really sound like it would be relaxing, it's been relaxing, but it's like,
okay,
for me, games like Darkest Dungeon and Elden Ring are like cozy games. Like when I hear the term cozy game, you're thinking Animal Crossing, Stardew Valley. I like Elden Ring, like Resident Evil 4, and like horror games and stuff like that. That's where I feel comfortable. And it's like, this is very relaxing for me. So, but I need a good game. I want a game that I'm going to like sink my teeth into.
Well, I mean, Marcus, it sounds like to me that you could just be playing the game that everyone is playing right now.
Tears of the Kingdom.
I'm just saying.
Have you played it?
No.
Yeah, I don't want to play it.
When would I have had time to play Tears of the Kingdom? That game looks like it's 100-hour game at least. It's 1,000,000
hours long. I don't want to do that.
You just said you wanted like a new Stardew Valley.
I want,
but you gotta, when you play Zelda, you gotta fucking play it. You can't just like, I'm gonna plant some crops while I'm watching TV and I'm on the train.
Exactly.
You want to like commit. Yeah.
I want a game. No, actually, no. Zelda I can play while watching TV, but right now my game that I'm playing while watching TV is Darkest Dungeon. I need to sit down, big story. I need to play it on the TV. I shouldn't be playing it handheld because it's so cool and big.
Oh, like Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
No, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is a baby game. It's graphically inferior to anything.
It's
out there
literally
right now.
Pushing the Switch to the brink of what it can do.
Yeah, pushing the Switch. That's like pushing
you want a PS5
Razer phone like to the brink of what it could do. Like, who cares?
You want a PS5 game. You want to be a real gamer.
PC.
You want to flex.
PS5. I want something exciting.
What's out? What's going on?
Nothing
I feel like
good
nothing's happening, right?
Nothing. I feel like Final Fantasy 16 just came out. That might be fun.
Oh, that's probably the one, right? I mean, you could play Diablo, but that doesn't sound like it's what you're really asking for.
I could play Diablo, but that's a time sink, man. Everyone who's like, you got to get Diablo. All I've done all day is sit in front of my computer and click. Sure. And it's like, that doesn't sound fun to me.
When Silk Song comes out, the Hollow Knight sequel, that would be that game.
Sounds good, yeah.
But it's not, it keeps getting delayed. That's the only game I'm waiting for. That's the only game that I'm like, I will buy that when it comes out.
You play like one game a year.
I do play like one game a year.
Yeah.
And Hollow Knight was one of those games. So it has a very special place in my heart. And I'm very excited for the sequel, you know? Just like Slay the Spire was another one of those one games a year I played. And I should have the board. I kickstarted the board game. So I'm super excited for that to come.
Hell yeah. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, I used to like Assassin's Creed. Soon Assassin's Creed coming.
There's too many. You don't care about that franchise anymore.
I don't. How did they do that? How did they do a thing that I was so passionate, so into, vibe wise, aesthetic wise, gameplay wise, and now I'm just so out.
They create, like Marvel and like many companies do, they oversaturated the market with their own content, which is fucking stupid and hilarious, but also a consequence of capitalism.
There's an Avatar game coming out in December.
Avatar
called Frontiers of Pandora.
No, wrong Avatar. I don't give a shit about that Avatar. I will never watch one of those movies.
Yo, we just watched the newest one at home. Honestly, I've watched way worse movies, dude, this month.
That's not a ringing endorsement. That's all I hear about it. Is that like I've seen worse movies.
I'm gonna watch Shazam. I'm pretty sure that's gonna be a worse movie. Black Adam, and you know I actually enjoyed Black Adam. It was a worse movie.
Yeah.
I just saw a movie in theaters that I won't name yet. Worse movie than Avatar 2.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
But it looked pretty good.
Cool.
It was too long. It was just too long. It was so freaking long. It was way too long. I don't know how they get away with having a movie that long.
Dude, it's too much.
When a lot of it was just like water and we're swimming now.
I have a quick question for you before we get into Across the Spiderverse.
Oh, okay.
When you drink water from a water bottle.
Here, I'll do it for you.
Are you supposed to have your eyes open or closed? And what do you look at?
I'm pretty sure
you just looked at me while you drank your water bottle.
I'm pretty sure it's an animal instinct to keep your eyes open. Like if you drink water while your eyes are closed.
Do it. Do both. Do both. You look like you're enjoying that water.
Anyone could have killed me at any second.
But what do you look at when you drink? Because like what I've been discovering is I drink a lot of water. But you looked at me the first time. That was the natural one. Looking at me.
Talking to me, yeah. Yeah.
Whenever I drink water, I like.
That's the normal one, isn't it?
I've been making eye contact with so many people recently while I drink water, and it's been making me very self-conscious in a way that I don't know what you're supposed to be doing with your eyes when you drink water. And so I tried closing it, but that feels too sensual of an experience to be having out in public. I tried looking at the water bottle, but that feels weird. Like I'm purposefully avoiding looking at anything else.
You know what I think it means? I think you have started to evolve to the point where you view everyone else as a threat. Because the reason you keep your eyes open is so you don't die at the watering hole. It's just survival.
What is that
instincts.
based on?
Me making it up right now. So it's perfectly sound logic. Nothing about what I said sounds not correct. So that means it's true. As long as I say it with enough gusto and confidence. Have you never met me? That's my whole my whole shtick.
Honestly, it's
I
all
don't
of
know
TikTok
anything.
shtick as well. Like all you got to say
I know.
is something.
I need to get
confidence.
on TikTok. I need to get on TikTok. That's
just
the
say things
takeaway.
with confidence. Everyone's like, "Wow, I will put zero effort into this." But look, you're a seller. You know, I'm an idea guy. You're a seller.
That's what I'm saying.
We work together.
I ain't got no ideas, but I can sell the crap out of yours.
We work well together.
Honestly, now that I'm saying this out loud, I need to like for free pick your brain about all these things and have you give me $1 million idea to make me $1 million, and then I'll try to pull you into the fold somehow.
Look, I know that at some point I'll be rewarded.
Hell yeah.
At some point it'll come down the line. I'll get something.
Even if it's just that I buy an expensive house down the street from you in Jersey and you get to come over and play.
Yeah. Trickle down doesn't work except in our relationship.
All right, Marcus, let's get to Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. Marcus, this was your challenge to me and our fans. Why? Why Across the Spiderverse? Where'd it come from? Where'd it go? Con Eye Joe.
I've been a huge Spider-Man fan since I was a kid, like many superhero lovers. We grew up in the 90s, and the 90s were the age of X-Men and Spider-Man. The Avengers
that cartoon.
The Avengers were dog shit. It was a dead comic book series. Nobody cared about the Avengers at all. It was all about Spider-Man and the X-Men. You got 1,000 spinoffs. You got 1,000 ripoffs from other companies trying to like copy. Oh, Wolverine's popular. Let's make our own Wolverine. Like that's how you knew you had a hit, right? Comic book companies were going bankrupt at the time, but Spider-Man and X-Men were still like selling. There were only things really selling. I mean, Batman and stuff were selling too, but
different company, different company. Selling of Spider-Man and X-Men movie rights is what saved the comic book company. That is recorded. That is known fact. If they did not sell those properties, we would not have a Marvel Comics anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. And so as someone who enjoyed those shows so much, I feel like anytime Spider-Man has had like a version made on TV or something like that, I've like made an attempt to watch it or follow its success or something like that. Right.
Yeah.
And in college, you got me back into Spider-Man comic books with Spider-Man Big Time.
So good.
Dan Slott's run on Spider-Man. And so I started reading Spider-Man again. Art. I followed up pretty much I read it pretty consistently through Superior
for
Spider-Man.
A good couple years. Yeah. Same.
Yeah. And that was all great. Dan Slott's run was great. I loved it. And I feel like with Spider-Man, it's kind of a cliche to be like, oh, he's one of my favorite superheroes because he's like just the main popular guy. But I genuinely, he's so relatable. He's very likable. He is one of the few characters that actually grows and matures over time.
Yeah.
And then you have Miles Morales. Miles Morales was created and has faced a lot of struggle in its creation and his existence as a character. And then Across the Spider-Verse came out and he became a lot more accepted, which is really cool and awesome. I love that movie and its influence on cinema we'll talk about, but it definitely like has impacted animation in a huge way. And so, I mean, how could you not be hyped for Across the Spider-Verse?
100%. Totally agree. Same thing. Like Flash is my favorite superhero, but it's followed very closely number 2 by Spider-Man. And a lot of it comes from that 90s Spider-Man cartoon. That's why I read comics. Like that introduced me to the concept of X-Men and Spider-Man and Captain America and the whole connected universe. And, all my knowledge started there to the point where then I went to our version of a bodega for my small town where the only consistent comic that they had, I don't even know why, they didn't have Spider-Man, but they had Spider-Girl. And from like some initiative they were doing in the 90s called like Marvel Universe 2 or something. It was like MU2 or something, where there was a whole bunch of like like I don't even remember all the things and the shticks, but there was a Spider-Girl comic in it, and I guess it was this was 2000s by then. The Amazing Spider-Girl, yes, 1998 to 2006. I had like 50 issues of it. You know, I loved that comic, and it was a grown-up Peter Parker, but from there I got back into Spider-Man and got into graphic novels and read so much of it, and yeah, right there with you. Just love the character, love how he has grown. They really had him start when he was 15, and right now in the comics he's our age, maybe a little older, like 35, 36. Like that's like the age he is, and like he's been allowed to grow up into an important part of like the world, and it's so interesting and fascinating and great, and I love it. And Miles Morales, yeah, is such an interesting story of how that happened. And you know, I think when Brian Michael Bendis helped create the character, he knew he had something, and I think Marvel didn't know what to do with it until this movie. And then they're like, oh, yes. This is gold. This is a great character. Because just to shit really heavily on all comics, you know, and I'm making very sweeping statements. Comics have a bad habit of thinking that they have to check boxes. And the easiest way to check those boxes is to change a character or to make a copy of a character that we already know that checks a box, whether that character be gay or a person of color or any other, you know, quote unquote, like, you know, liberal box that they have to check. And sometimes it's just so obvious and so pandering that even people like us who are so about it are like, this character sucks. But you have some characters like Miles Morales, where when Brian Michael Bendis made it, he made it he made it because it was a character. He made him as like his own thing. And if you read the comics right when it came out, in the Ultimates where he started, and really read what he was doing with that character, you know, he wasn't making a copy of Spider-Man. He was doing the very natural progression of what we love about Spider-Man, how he grows and changes. And when in that universe, when he grew and changed, the mantle going to Miles just makes sense. It's just the way it's very reminiscent, honestly, for me, of my favorite superhero, Wally West, where in the 80s, when the older Barry Allen died and Wally West was a teenage superhero and grew into the Flash, and had to make it his own. I read all those comics from the 80s into the 90s of him like figuring out what kind of hero he was, and that's what Miles felt like. But then they threw Miles into the regular universe. They didn't really know what to do with them.
Yeah.
And they were like, we have this character, we don't know what it is and why he's cool and interesting. And then Bendis was moving on to other things, so it wasn't great. But then Into the Spiderverse came out, and we were like, whoa.
Yeah,
that is how to make a comic book movie.
To get into Miles Morales' backstory a little bit, like you said, created by Brian Michael Bendis in the Ultimates universe, which is a different universe.
God, we know so much about this stuff. We're such nerds. I just want anybody listening, we're not like referring to wikis, right? Sometimes we will. Like when we were doing Dear Mama, we had to like look at the wiki and like make sure we knew what we were talking. Even though we're Tupac fans, we know all this stuff so intrinsically.
We have had millions of conversations about comic books and stuff.
But please go ahead.
So
Ultimate Universe.
In the Ultimate Universe, which is a different universe entirely, which was created to make comic books more real, more modern, and have like an edginess to them.
Can you name the universe of Ultimate without looking it up?
No, 519. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's 1610.
Okay, look it up.
Go ahead. I'm going to
look it up. I'm going to. So you is meant to be more realistic, and like it was successful. It was popular. And then Brian Michael Bendis created Miles Morales because they killed Peter Parker in this universe.
Earth 1610. Yep.
Nice. And he was meant to take over. And that was met publicly at the time with a lot of backlash. A lot of people, like, you know how news is released, right? You get the sensationalized headlines. People react to the headlines without reading the article or without even reading the comic books themselves. So it's like, it's like they made Spider-Man black, or there's a black Spider-Man. Like a lot of the headlines read like that. And a lot of people get mad, like, oh, this is woke Marvel being woke again. And this was how long ago? Like, this was so long ago. And people act like this is a new thing that's happening. And people are saying
it was after Ultimatum. So it would have been
2010.
Yeah.
No, not even, right? Earlier.
20 Ultimate Comic Spider-Man, Ultimate Comic Spider-Man. Yeah, that 2011. 2011.
Okay.
Weird. 2011. But to even go even more backwards, Brian Michael Bendis didn't make it on a whim. I actually think it's really fascinating to talk about why he made the character, and he's been very public about it. It was a direct response to the Amazing Spider-Man movies coming out with Andrew Garfield. After Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire was done, everyone was like, cool, Sony's making more Spider-Man movies with the new Spider-Man. And this was like peak internet meme time of like memes being created. And everyone was like, everybody, it should be Donald Glover. Everyone agrees from Community, that guy is Spider-Man. And the internet was like, yeah. And the company was like, never in a million years, we're racist. Basically. And years later, even emails came out that said Spider-Man can't be, like, in the legalese of the contracts for them to make Spider-Man movies, Spider-Man can't be gay, Spider-Man can't be black. That was like in the legalese, right? We found that out way later. But Brian Michael Bendis saw that and he was like, wow. And he saw all the fan art of Donald Glover and he's like, I make comic books. That seems like a really cool comic book. I'm gonna make that comic book. Yeah. And he did.
Yeah.
In direct response to that.
And if you read it, it's pretty like, it makes Miles, what works about it is Miles is just a real person. Like it feels like he's just a real kid. He's in New York City. He's going through, like, the first issue starts out with him like going through the lottery system in school to get into like a good high school. If you grew up in New York City, you know what that's like. Like, it's just crazy how real the character felt. And like, I was like, oh, especially like being a minority or being surrounded by minorities, by being in New York City, like how statistically it's weird that it's just like, yes, it's, if you make Spider-Man again, how is it still just like a white kid?
Yeah. And they killed Spider-Man in that universe to make way for this. Like, it wasn't like this weird tangential thing. It's like, no, Spider-Man died and he never got like that meant to, and it was like a big storyline about it.
And people got really upset, even though this was the most like hand-holdy way that they could have introduced a new character, right? It's not in the main universe. So regular Peter Parker is still alive and good. Nothing wrong has happened to him. He's fine. They killed
it's a brand you already know.
They killed Ultimate's version Peter Parker, who no one, like, that comic book sales were failing. You know, they rose when, you know, the death of Spider-Man was announced, because everyone likes to read the death of whatever characters. And so like no one really cared about that. So that was kind of good. And it was just like the safest way you could have launched a new character. And people still got upset about it. But but it died down pretty quickly after people realized, oh, like anybody who actually cared looked into it, and after they got over their racism,
Spider-Man was still there.
Their Spider-Man was still there.
Weird offshoot thing.
It's just a random thing. Yeah, exactly.
And he wrote that comic for a while, and then the comic itself lasted. Let me see if it's Sarah Pichelli is an important name to know too, because she was the artist that helped create it.
So, but like you said, eventually this Miles Morales became the only popular thing to come from the Ultimates universe. And then they mixed universes. They brought him over finally. He shows up in the main universe.
And that was because of a big event that happened in the main universe that destroyed a lot of the other universe, including the Ultimate Universe, which they weren't doing anything with anymore anyway.
Exactly,
It was an experiment that was over.
Yes. By that point, like, it was definitely over.
Yeah.
And so they brought him over, and then it sucks because, the comic books are still going on. I tried reading them recently. They're fine. They're not, like, great. But it's like you said, where it's like they just have two Spider-Man now, and they don't know what to do with them.
Yeah, they put him on that Champions team with some of the younger heroes. And I'm pretty sure he's dating Gwen, who was also one of those remnants who like is now in the main universe because she was so popular. Spider-Gwen.
Yeah.
But I'm not reading it.
Yeah, exactly.
And just to speak on it real quick, because we're talking about the comics, apparently, I don't know how much you read or how much you're going on, and this is pretty hearsay because I haven't read it myself. I'm doing the thing that we don't like. Apparently, Spider-Man is going through a lot of shit. They just did a storyline
has been filled with that.
This storyline that's going on right now is fucking wild. Apparently, they sent Mary Jane to an alternate universe, and Peter had to like figure out a way to save her, but passage of time happened different over there. So when he shows back up, it's like 16 years later. Mary Jane is married with multiple kids, which in and of itself, everyone's like, fuck you. Can't we just, can't you? And everyone's like, this is super villain origin story right here. And then at the end of the thing, to make it not even matter, they made everyone over there die, including her husband and the kids.
Yeah.
And it's like, what was all that for?
Why would you do that?
The only thing worse than this in any memory I have is when they had Norman Osborn and Gwen. I know.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
Because that was the craziest time in Spider-Man fan history. For those of you who don't know, there was a very famous arc of Spider-Man that everyone loved, that introduced all these cool characters and, you know, this different way of thinking. Like, did Peter get bit by the spider, or did the spider specifically bite Peter, and it had to do with fate and all these things? And it was a really great run. I remember it was around 9/11 because there was this great 9/11 issue that happened. And then after a while, JMS, James Michael Straczynski, who wrote it, said that before Gwen died in the Marvel Universe, she studied abroad for a year in France to have a baby. And that baby was because she had consensual sex with Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin.
And she's like 16 canonically at the time, or 17. And he is like 40
at least. And the only explanation is one day they met up and Norman put down his barriers and seemed like a human, and Gwen couldn't resist, or something to that effect. Honestly, I might have it right here. Keep talking.
It's stupid. So as you can see, we are big Spider-Man fans, and Spider-Man is constantly getting shafted. So it's nice that we are getting some Spider-Man love with Across the Spider-Verse and Into the Spider-Verse. Also, the Spider-Verse series in the comic books was pretty good. I did not read it. I read a little bit of it. And then I didn't want to read all of the tie-ins because it cost too much money.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up.
But yes, so Across the Spider-Verse, while you look for that, Nick, is a film.
I'm close.
You're so close. You can feel it.
No, I'm really close.
Did they have like goblins? Didn't they have goblin kids or something? Is that what that whole thing turned into?
Yep. They had their kids grow up and come attack and be goblins. Okay. I'm there. He's reading the letter. He's reading the letter that Gwen wrote to him, telling him about it.
We swear comic books are good. We promise. There's definitely a lot of good comic book arcs.
There's just one panel that is like burned into my mind. And I'm sure it's the same one that's burned into your mind, where it's like the two of them like kissing. Yeah, and then what happened, and I'm looking at it, and it's Gwen and Norman's kids show up. They're not goblins at first. Later, it's people trying to like do something with it. But yes, they are. Here is Norman and Gwen doing.
Oh yeah. That one. That panel is burned into my mind.
Yeah,
him having sex with her, then he's Green Goblin in the next panel.
And also, it's also very funny because I think the writer told the artist that I think Norman Osborn looks like Tommy Lee Jones. Does that look like Tommy Lee Jones? Sometimes they use real life. Anyway,
I fucking hate that.
So comics aren't perfect, but Miles Morales was a great introduction, is our point, and we're really excited that he, Into the Spider-Verse, got his due and was proven to be a good character. And honestly, a lot of people, before this movie even came out, consider that one of the best comic book movies ever made. And then here we are with the sequel.
Yeah, which I would argue is also one of the best comic book movies ever made.
Let's talk about it.
I feel like it's interesting with this because, like, we were talking about the comic books a lot, right? It feels like the comic books have been our safe place from the movies. The movies, a lot of times, have been ruining the comic book stories where we
Sure.
get really hyped. We follow this cycle where we get really hyped for a movie because we're like, oh, it's going to cover this storyline that we loved. And then they do it badly. Or they do it like in a weird,
definitely
mediocre way.
before the MCU. 100%. I think the MCU did a good job. That's why we like it so much. It really said no. We are something different. It's a different universe for me. Anyway,
I'm including the MCU as like being shitty.
But a lot of those storylines aren't the same storylines, right? They're like made up new things.
Sure, yeah, but that's the problem. What I'm saying is like when you read comic books and you watch the movies, you get excited because you want to see those storylines adapted, but they're never adapted to the full extent in which you are enjoying the comic book. Yes.
Oh yeah.
The Captain America thing, the Civil War thing was kind of interesting, but it's much better in the comic books, right? Like
That's true.
And you just have instances of that. Them taking the Planet Hulk storyline, using it in Thor Ragnarok. Yeah, Thor Ragnarok was good, but they didn't do that storyline well.
Planet Hulk. Yeah,
Gore the God Butcher. Now that's used. They're not going to bring him back. That was a great storyline in the comic books. Shitty adaptation in the films.
I was thinking more like Fantastic Four 2 with Silver Surfer and Galactus, right? Like that's what I was thinking, because that was so
bad.
Right?
Yes. And these movies, like, Ragnarok was good, but it ruined the storyline. So a lot of these have
they
been
cannibalize it, right? They cannibalize the source material.
A lot of these guys have been cannibalizing the source material. So Across the Spider-Verse is interesting because Sony has been kind of releasing like shitty superhero movies. Like we know that. We know what Morbius is. Venom, the first one was fine, and the second one was bad.
It was very bad.
And so it's interesting to see that.
And we got Kraven the Hunter coming down the pike.
It's interesting to see that they have something actually good here.
Yeah.
Like they have a good,
from Sony,
solid superhero movie from Sony. Isn't in the MCU. And it's
no Disney involved. Yeah.
People are watching it. People are loving it. People who are fatigued with superheroes are watching this film and loving it. So it's not the superhero content that's the problem.
Yeah.
Right? It's
just the content. Yeah.
The way we're being delivered it.
This is the proof. I think this is a perfect proof of like superhero fatigue is not a real thing. Bad movie fatigue is a real thing. People aren't sick of Fast and the Furious movies. They want more of them. They just suck.
Yeah.
If they were great, they would be all about it. People want these movies. That's why James Bond has been James Bond for 70 years or whatever freak it's been. It's not that they're sick of it. It's just they want good movies.
Studios are complaining about ticket sales, and it's like, look at this film. People are going to go see it.
I will say, though, do you think at this point, without Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse, that Disney would be a little closer to getting back the live action of the
100%
wing?
100%.
That's my
100%,
only thing
100%.
where I'm like, the only bad thing is Sony has now had 2 deeply successful Spider-Man movies and expected to have a third, and no way they want to get rid of the IP now. But they have no idea what to do with their live action IP. No idea at all.
I think as long as the live action IP fails, like we're gonna keep Tom Holland in the MCU.
I think they have to strike another deal, dude. They have to strike another deal, you know?
Yeah.
And they think then Tom Holland's popular. I'm sure they want him in the Kraven movie, but couldn't get him, you know, because of legalese and stuff. I don't know. Anyway, Across the Spider-Verse, the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse. We would talk about Into the Spider-Verse, but we don't want to be here for 3 hours. It was a great film. We loved it. Introduced the character. Beautiful. Different Spider-Man across the universes. It's a multiverse movie. Here we go. And then Across the Spider-Verse, we're here. Miles is just a little bit older. He's applying to colleges. We see him hanging out and being his own superhero, made his own costume. And right away, as soon as we get into this movie, I'm like, hell yeah, right back into it, right back into what we love. Except I'm lying, aren't I? Because that's not how this movie starts.
No, it starts.
This movie starts with Gwen, which I was shocked with how much they cared about that and showing us that.
So it's funny because I feel like you forget that the first movie, you followed Miles Morales, but it was a Peter B. Parker story, right?
Yeah,
like he's the one who had a character arc. He's the one who had his little. It was focused around him, but the overall 3 movies that we're getting are going to be obviously Miles Morales movies.
Yeah. But how specifically he's affected by these other Spider-Man. Right?
Exactly, yeah.
And Spider B. Parker was the first.
So then the second movie, it makes sense that it's like, okay, this is from Spider-Gwen's perspective. It's more about her. She's going to have an arc here. That's also going to push Miles's arc along as well.
When I was sitting there in the theater and the Spider-Gwen stuff was happening, it was pitch perfect, just a translation of her comic book origin. Like they might have changed where she fought the lizard, or like how she passed him in the hall, but like I don't know if you read that comic or remember that time of the Spiderverse of Superior Spider-Man and all that, and when this was all introduced, that's exactly how it happens. It wasn't changed, and it was so cool to see. I was sitting there like giddy next to Lexi. I was like, oh my god, that's just oh my god, and oh my god, they're gonna make him the lizard, and they're gonna make him die. Oh my god, oh. And Lexi, who doesn't know any of this, is like, whoa, that's so cool and heartbreaking and interesting, and wow, proof that it works.
Yeah, that's what we want to see. Like, we want to see adaptations of the comic books we love. We don't want to see like butchered, bastardized, super dumbed down stories.
And changed in a way, cannibalized it like this movie does. This movie cannibalized all this stuff. This doesn't exist in the comics, but for the better, for a reason, for a story.
You can take, like, the story has existed. You can always build on it and make it better. This takes from the Spider-Verse story. They're not doing the vampires that like are going through the universe to suck the totems dry or whatever the hell. Like they're not doing that.
Dr. Octopus is now Spider-Man and he's pulling in all these other Spider-Man.
Yeah. Right. They're not doing that stuff, and they don't have to, right? Because they're taking and they're elevating the story. That's the benefit that all these movies have, is that they have something that they can take and elevate.
Yeah.
Which is, but instead, all the MCU and all these movies are just like somehow making a worse version of every single plot.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, and I think it comes from this movie. I think it's really summed up in the way this movie handles something very specific. Where in the MCU, when Peter is talking to Mysterio, they mentioned that the MCU is Earth 616, which is the Marvel comic universe we've been reading since the 60s. In this movie, they specifically reference the events that happened in No Way Home and label it a different Earth.
Yeah.
Which means this comic is paying the Earth 616 still exists in this world. The comic books still exist in the story that they're telling, but it's like honored in this way that's like untouched, but like referenced, right?
Yeah.
And that was really, and the fact that like this is from Gwen is from Earth 65, it says, I'm sure that's the same one in the comics. It is a pitch perfect representation of like what's happening, so I don't like mine as much.
Yeah.
But man, just to talk about the emotional beats, Marcus, heartbreaking story with the dad and the lizard.
Oh god, the fact that we can talk about emotional beats in a superhero movie, right? Like that's pretty good.
The beginning, the first 10 minutes. This is like the first 10 minutes of Up. It's like beautiful. It's great. It's wonderful. And like Peter Parker being bullied, not getting the powers, totally gonna turn into a supervillain. Like talk about butterfly effect, like how one small little thing could change everything. Peter Parker could totally have been the villain, right?
Yeah.
Love that.
Definitely. And I like that he becomes the lizard too. I feel like that specifically is like, Doc Connors, you know, he was missing an arm and trying to grow it back. Like it does have the similar vibes of like a kid experimenting to try to give himself powers because he wants to be strong and cool. Like, yes, that happened. That sounds like it would happen. Yeah.
And then it all culminates in Gwen meeting that Renaissance Vulture and the other Spider-Man 2099 and Jessica Drew from a different universe come and fight, and she joins the Spider Society and all that stuff. How cool of a freaking villain that is.
Yeah.
That was a creation like just for the movie, I think. I don't think that came from anywhere.
I think it was inspired by
the Neil Gaiman stuff. No, that was from a different time period.
I watched shout out to Screen Crush. I watched Screen Crush's like 130 Easter eggs, and after every time I watch a Marvel film or something, I go and I turn that on and I'm like, yes, give me all 131 Easter eggs. Apparently there was like a Da Vinci something universe, not Leonardo da Vinci joining the Avengers, like which I think happened, but it's something else.
That sounds like 1610. That sounds like the Neil Gaiman thing, right?
Maybe.
Anyway, but looked cool, and this was the first introduction of like different art styles in this movie, of like he was existing in his world, and 1602 was the Neil Gaiman Marvel thing. It might be what it was, but so cool introduction of the character. Like honestly, just God, this movie is just, I can't even talk about how good it was. Like I can't even like put into words. Like what we do here every week is we talk about movies and films and TV, and like we've gotten pretty good at talking about stuff.
Mhm.
I have no idea how to talk about this movie because it's just it operates on such a level that it's like magic. To me, a lot of
That's
this
a
is like
great way of putting
magic.
it. It's so tight. It's so compact. It's so perfect, but it's dense. It feels like they squeezed a lot into the film, but it also doesn't overstay its welcome. In fact, it understays its welcome because the movie cuts off at the end and you feel like,
spoilers,
come on.
Just to freaking talk about it, the biggest complaint I think anyone can have about this movie is this is part 1 and nobody told us.
Yeah.
This is June. We knew June was part 1.
Yes.
We knew there was a half a story. Avengers Infinity War, we knew it was half of a story. Catching Fire part 1, Hunger Games, we knew it was half a story, right? Nobody told us at all. Marcus, how do you feel about that? How did you feel? Were you spoiled?
No, I was
Then
watching.
how did you feel at the end?
I was watching the movie and I was like, I peed
So not a
already
lot of
once
time
during the movie. And I was just like,
crazy.
we are
Nearing
we have a whole arc and I've been here for a while. So
we haven't started Act 3 and there's 15 minutes left in this movie.
I was like, there's no way that this movie is any longer. It must be ending soon. And then it just immediately ended, which is jarring because it sucks to have to wait 2 years for something that stops in the middle of the story. Like, we're going to have to all go back and rewatch this one. Like, that sucks.
Well, it's less than a year when the next one's supposed to be coming out. March 29th, 2024.
That's what they say. But I mean, like, an interview came out, I think on Vulture, talking about like the working conditions of the animators and how terrible Phil Lord is. And so like,
really?
Yeah.
Phil Lord's awful? Oh man, come on. Lord and Miller's, come on. They make the best movies. Stop it. Come on, they're awful people. They're not good.
Well, not they, just Phil Lord. So
they
far.
come as a duo. They make the movies together.
Apparently he's been like a slave driver over there, and working.
Is he an awful person, or is he just like under a lot of pressure from Sony? Maybe
I don't know. I got to look. Go on Vulture, read the article, judge for yourself. He's not the director of these films. I will say that
they did direct the first one, didn't they?
But not this one. Which I think is like
super in charge. They wrote the screenplay and it's super
difference. So Joaquim Dos Santos, Kemp Powers, and Justin K. Thompson directed these films. So they had 3 directors, and the way they worked together is that they separated different parts of the film. Obviously, they all collaborated, but they were like, you take animation, you take this part, you work on this part of things.
Oh, you think it was like that? Or do you think they...
that's what they said in an interview.
Oh, okay.
I
would have guessed this guy
interviews.
took the Gwen part, this guy took the Miles part, this guy took the... okay.
They broke it up like voice acting, like you're in the room while they're voice acting, directing. You are with the animators directing the animation. You are whatever. So they split it up that way and they all worked together. Like it was a collaborative thing. But I feel like because of that, like they really got to work in their element, you know?
Yeah. That's a really interesting way. One of these guys, Joaquim Dos Santos, he worked on Justice League Unlimited and Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes, exactly. And then you had the one of the other guys worked on Soul, and like that was really interesting. And I saw a TikTok that was talking about how like
it looks like he came up the ranks too. Like he was a storyboard artist. Like that's I love.
Yeah, exactly. And you get to contribute too. And like he's a black man. He got to talk about the movie from that perspective too, and direct from that perspective, which is interesting.
Yo, shut up. Kem Powers, I think the one you're referring to right now, his play was One Night in Miami.
Yes.
He did that on the podcast with Malcolm X. And I loved that movie. I gave it to you as a challenge.
Yes, you did.
Whoa. Man, this movie was so good. Why'd you gotta tell me Phil Lord and Miller sucked? Man.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to disappoint, but the directors are cool. And that article
Lord
had
Miller
plenty of
wrote
room
this
to talk bad about them, and it didn't. So there's that.
Oh, man. Anyway.
And I feel like this movie felt like it was better directed than the first one. I'll say that too.
It's so hard, though, because the first one's such a different movie, right?
For sure. But this one was a bigger task, a bigger challenge, and it felt
bigger challenge,
cohesive. It felt smooth.
It really could have not.
And it could have easily fallen apart.
Take Multiverse of Madness. We love Sam Raimi. We like that movie. That movie did the same thing, went to different universes, felt disjointed, felt like not everything got enough play, not everything got enough time in this movie. When we went to Mumbai, whatever it was, seamless, perfect, made sense. Didn't mind I was there. Perfect. We got out of there just in time. Went to the Spider Society, went to Gwen's world, went to the Miles's world, back forth, easy peasy, seamless, done. Nothing about any of that felt like transitions are so hard, and there was nothing wrong with the transitions here. And there was such jarring things.
Phil Lord did not direct the first one either. I'll say I just looked it up.
Oh, who directed it?
Bob Percini, Peter Ramsey, and Rodney Rothman.
Oh, okay. And the screenplay was just by Lord and Rothman. Miller and Lord produced them both, though. Interesting. Man, animated movies are wild. How do they even get made? This is crazy. Like, there's so many moving parts, right?
Yeah.
3 directors.
Yeah.
Producers, 3 screenwriters. It's crazy. The fact that it's this good, like, how? Crazy.
I know. It's super impressive. I think that like the fact that like you can take a team, you can work, you can kick so much ass, you can come out with like such a cohesive film is so impressive. And the fact that they introduced, like with the first film, I felt like they did a good job of introducing the concept of there are multiple universes, there are multiple Spider-Men, and we're going to show you a handful of them. And these are going to be representatives of how crazy this multiverse can get. So you had Spider-Ham, you had Spider-Man Noir, you had like anime Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Spider-Gwen. Different representations. And then this movie is like, okay, here we go. We're going to just open this up all the way. We're going to fully expand on this and show you the breadth of this narrative.
Yeah. You know what's really interesting is almost no Peter Parkers like in the main cast, right? Isn't that interesting?
I mean, you got the main Peter Parker, Peter B. Parker.
And he takes a really backseat in this movie. There's it's all these other. And you know what I found that I really loved? I didn't know I would love it, but I really, really loved it. Is how when you have this many Spider-Men and this many like people, it's almost hard to like make them matter because there's so many. But Miles shouldn't exist. And they explain in the movie that he takes the spider from Earth 42 into his world. And it was in the first movie. They had the ideas because it did blink out of existence and shit. Because he is a connection from 2 universes interacting, that's why there are no other Miles Morales Spider-Man in the Spider Society. And that's so fascinating and interesting and cool and different. And like,
I do love that. Yeah.
This Miles, our Miles, the one we're following, the one that we're going to be following in the third movie, like, way to take a character that not everyone cared about or wondered why they should care about and make him so freaking important, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of Peter Parkers. There's literally an infinite amount.
A lot of Peter Parkers.
And a lot of them are in this movie and they're cool and they're awesome. And I love Spider-Man, but there's one Miles.
That's true.
Like pretty cool.
But also there's one
Spider-Gwen.
Yeah. And there's one Hobie and there's one Spider-Man Mountbatten and there's one. Like they do make a point to be like, yes, this is like Miles is unique because of this specific thing.
I mean, even I don't know if there's other Spider-Man 2099s, but like, it's just like they said it in the movie, right? Like the way they explain the movie, there should and could be other Gwens. There could and should be other Miguel O'Hara's 2099s. There could and should be. There literally can't be another Miles like this.
Yes,
because he is not supposed to ever get spider powers, and it was only because of Spider Society stuff that he got him. I just, you know, fascinating, and I think at this point, like, we just don't have the time. We can just jump around, like when that happened, and all of the Spider-Man are like looking at him, and he's having this interaction with 2099. It's just like, wow, it's so cool that the movie set up this thing where movies don't do this a lot, where they know stuff that we don't know yet, right?
Yeah.
Like I was legitimately surprised in this movie. I know so much about comics. I know so freaking much about these storylines, and I literally had no idea what they were trying to say and where they were going in these moments. Like what? Like I could inference because I'm like a movie goer, and I'm like, are they gonna? Is this what? But like, I was legitimately surprised at multiple points in this movie, and that just doesn't happen anymore. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I agree. I like it too because I feel like with the knowledge of the multiverse, it's so interesting to see that they're trying to say that like it feels like one of the many messages in the film is that like you can be Spider-Man. You are Spider-Man and there's a Spider-Man for you. Like it doesn't matter. Like that was their first movie, right? Like Miles Morales being Spider-Man, being different, a lot of people feeling seen. And this was just, it felt like an expansion of that. Yes, so many other multiverse things we've seen is like, oh, it's just the same version. It's just another white guy. And there's like, yes, in this infinite multiverses, you have like 2 black versions of like whatever character it is. Look.
Well, no, there's
Captain
Jessica
Britain.
Drew, there's Spider-Punk, there's Miles Morales right there front and center. Yeah.
Yeah. And look at like Captain Britain, right? His whole shtick is like he is a multiversal council of Captain Britons, one from all the different universes, and it's mostly white guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is like, there's other people living in Britain.
Yeah. Spider-Punk.
Yeah, so it's fun to see this where it's like, yes, you get Spider-Punk, you get different variations, you get so many different kinds of Spider-Man, and that's fun.
But it also just feels honest, right? Like Miguel O'Hara being Hispanic and like Jessica Drew being black and Spider-Punk being black and Spider-Gwen being white. Like it all felt, none of it felt, it all felt, I don't even know the word, just everything's so specific in nowadays where it feels on purpose or it feels like the boxes are checked like I mentioned before, or it feels like they're not paying attention and that's even worse, right? None, that just isn't here.
I mean,
it's not like it's not blind casting because everyone's honored, right? Like they're like, no, he knows Spanish. That's an important part of his character, right?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's conscious casting too. Well, not even just casting, because like these characters are those races in the comic books. Like Spider-Man Mbatten exists in the comic books, and
I don't think this Jessica Drew
black.
exists anywhere.
Jessica Drew's the only one, other than Jessica Drew. But all of the other ones do exist in the comic books. Black? He is black in the comic books. Yeah.
I only ever saw him with his mask on.
Yep.
You sure?
Yep, I just watched a whole long video on all of the Spider-Men and all of where they're from and each and every Spider-Man and each and every universe. And so Jessica Drew does exist. She's not black in the universe. They did change that.
You're a nerd.
But all the other ones are actually like minorities. They didn't change that casting for the movie.
You're a nerd.
Miguel O'Hara is his name. He is Hispanic.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, but even in the old I watched that cartoon. I read some of those comics. I don't remember that ever coming up.
It doesn't come up. You're right. He just
is,
which is kind of nice. Back in that time, it's kind of nice. He was just Hispanic. It wasn't like
that was the most we can get.
Themed Hispanic superhero.
That was the most we can get, and we were gaga for it. But now we're past that, and you know, I love that Oscar Isaac doesn't have to pretend to be ethnically ambiguous. He can be way closer to what he actually is. That's really nice. You know, a lot of people don't even know Oscar Isaac is Hispanic because he's had to code switch and be ethnically ambiguous in so many things.
Yeah.
I
saw him in a play where he's
very Jewish in a lot of things.
Yeah.
He's cast as Jewish a lot. I don't think he's Jewish at all.
I don't know enough about Oscar Isaac, but I assume he's not, because I'm sure he's gotten some shit about it.
Well, I know he's Guatemalan, but no. His mother's Guatemalan and his father's Cuban.
I hear Daron saying something, but I can't hear.
I'm sure people have talked about it. I'm sure people have complained about it. But like, as an actor who's ethnically ambiguous, I'm like, I don't blame Oscar Isaac.
Are you ethnically ambiguous?
Marcus, I've been in the casting room and I've had to be white, I've had to be Hispanic, and I've been half black, and I've been full black, and I am yes. As you don't think so?
Two white casting people. You are ethnically ambiguous.
You know, out of give me 100 casting people. You know how many of them are white, dude?
All of them?
Maybe you got 3 or 4 that's not. Yes, Marcus. To answer
hilarious.
your question, I understand how it doesn't make sense and it's stupid, and you know, and I know. But if you're really asking me, like, if we're sitting down and really having conversation, I am 100% ethnically ambiguous. I could be Cuban. I could be German.
I thought you were going to name different kinds of Hispanics. That would have been fucking hilarious.
I could be Cuban. I could be Italian. I could be Greek. I could be half black. I can be...
Guys, leave a chat. Leave a comment in the chat if you think you know Nick's. All the races Nick could be.
I could be Jewish. I got this curly hair.
Mhm.
I could be Israeli. I could be from the Middle East, a certain part. I could be Middle Eastern. I have been asked to audition for those things. Like, it's crazy. Like, I'm not even like hyperbolizing. I wish I was, because it sounds like it could be a bit. Marcus, it's crazy out here, dude. I am like the definition of ethnically ambiguous, which you think would be like a good thing. But honestly, I'm not Hispanic enough for the Hispanic roles. I don't have an accent. I can't speak Spanish. I'm way more likely to get cast as a Jewish person than I am a Puerto Rican, which is crazy and not okay, and a problem that we're still always trying to fix in the acting world today. But anyway, enough about me. Yes, Oscar Isaac is ethnic ambiguous, and I'm glad he gets to be Hispanic in this movie.
It's interesting,
like Moon Knight. He's not able to like honor himself as Moon Knight. He's just a guy, right?
Yeah.
Here he's like Hispanic.
It's interesting. Really before we got into this tangent of all the races you could play, you did touch on something interesting. Like the fact that a lot of time back in the day, the conversations about race were like, we just want to see minorities in stuff, right? And we like, a lot of people were like, I'm not racist, I don't see color, right? And it's like, and that was acceptable at the time. And that's kind of the version of Spider-Man 2099 that we got in the comic books. It was like a guy who is Hispanic, but we're not gonna mention it one time.
Yeah. And we're only speaking on our own experiences. I'm sure if you read all of 2099, there's a reference and it says something and it doesn't. We haven't read every comic ever. This is just from our experience. Yeah.
But the fact that it is like, now we're like, okay, it is tied to your identity. You get this movie that it has a lot of like cultural references, like the fact that they're like mentioning his race specifically. There's like little like things like the food that they're eating and the like everything, the culture, the party, the family. Like you get that kind of stuff and it feels like, oh, these people know what it's like to at least have been around minorities before, when a lot of movies don't feel that way.
And not just him, the Indian Spider-Man, Spider-Punk feels like it's a very specific rebellious nature of England around Black people. It feels like in that moment that I want to know more about, like every little thing all over the place. It's like, it's not even that it's, I guess honored would be an okay word to use, respected, but it's just like, it's just there. It's just the world we live in. It's just a reflection. Like all they're doing is doing a reflection of the world, which is what everyone says they're doing, but no one actually does.
So it's interesting.
But this is actually doing it in this stupid cartoon.
There was an interview with the guy who played Spider-Man of Mumbai, and he was saying that they interviewed him and he was saying that like when they cast him and he was like doing the role, they were like, change whatever you want. Like they were just like, we don't know enough about this character and this culture to like necessarily make it feel real and lived in. And right now he just feels like he could be anybody. So we want you to consult and like give feedback as to like, what can we do to make him feel like he's actually Indian?
As opposed to just 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, maybe even now in another medium and another project, they'd be like, can you be more Indian? Which means they want him to put on like a heavy accent and be a caricature of himself. That is amazing. That is so cool to hear.
Yeah.
Oh, Marcus, you almost missed the Mumbai
Okay,
so
hold on. Quick side story.
Sure.
I was in Spider-Man Across the Universe watching the film, and right next to me.
So that's the wrong movie. Spider-Man Across the Universe is the Beatles themed Spider-Man movie. Sorry, go on.
Across the Spiderverse. And there's these two teens next to me. And I hear one teen and the third teen comes and she's like, how dare you? Are you serious right now? And I'm like, okay. And my intention is no longer on the film. I am straight up in whatever's happening next to me. And she was like, you decide to go on a date one day after we break up? Are you fucking serious? And so he was like, chill. No, you don't have to do this here. Chill. And she's like, no, I'm not going to chill. And then they were yelling at each other. They were fighting. And I was just like, yes. Give me the drama. And I was just watching that for a long time. There's a lot of in and out. She ran back in and took a picture with flash on of this couple, like of the two on the chair, then ran away. He went and chased her. They were screaming at each other in the hallway. And I was so distracted. And then I turned to Daron and I'm like, man, that's crazy what's going on. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, what?
Because she's a good moviegoer.
Because she's sucked into the movie and she's watching it like a normal person. And I'm like, how do you not hear the screaming happening in the theater? Anyway,
Reasonable.
I get distracted easily.
That's hilarious. Well, it was a good sequence. He had a yo-yo. That was really cool.
Also, in that sequence, we learn about canon and Spider-Man canon.
Yes.
And the fact that all these Spider-Man have to go through a certain series of things to truly be Spider-Man, and these are canon events that everyone has to go through, and if you don't go through them, you're going to ruin the multiverse.
Love it. Makes sense.
It makes sense. Great. It's cool. It's also like a commentary on, you know, us as fans being like Miles Morales or this person can't be Spider-Man because they don't fit these certain criteria, which I think is really interesting as well, just from a creative perspective.
Yeah. And
then it also sets off a series of events where it's like, okay, Miles Morales sees this, he stops the canon event, and then he's like, oh shit, my dad's like, one of the canon events is that a sheriff or not a sheriff, what is it?
A
captain dies, and he's like, my dad's about to become captain. Oh crap, I have to go home and save him. And that sets off his chain of events that, like,
honestly, it just feels so smart and right, and like that's why they weren't including Miles and why Miguel didn't want, and like that whole sequence of Miguel explaining, gosh, like Spider-Man 2099 is like kind of the villain of this movie, right? Mm-hmm. And like obviously I'm meant to root for Miles and I'm supposed to like, no, he can fix it. I don't even know if that's what the movie's going to say ultimately. Like, honestly, it might be like tragedy is what makes us where we are, and they might fucking kill his dad. Or am I safe as that? I literally don't know. I literally have no idea, which it could go
in the
both
comic books,
ways.
his mom dies.
Oh, I didn't even remember that.
But then
maybe she does that.
But then she's brought back to life.
Oh my God, whatever. I don't care. But so like, but when they go in that sequence of Miguel O'Hara. Oh, and there are more than one Spider-Man 99, right? Because he replaces another one. That's what happened.
It wasn't Spider-Man. He was just another Miguel O'Hara, right?
You know what? I'm making assumptions, but I feel safe to say that assumption that he's also a Spider-Man. But you're right. He could very well not be. Right, because if he wasn't, who cares, right? He wouldn't have ruined the timeline to save someone or make someone not happen unless it was Spider-Man. Yeah, well, I think I'm right. I think my assertion's right.
Well, if he wasn't supposed to be Spider-Man, that would be more ruining of the timeline than if he just went in and was like, yeah, I'm Spider-Man.
Yeah, but specifically, it's messing up creating Spider-Man that is causing these things to happen, right? Like he needed somebody to, like he needed to let the wife die or something, or the kids die.
Well, unless the kid was a captain of the police force, like it doesn't fit the canon events.
No, either. I think Miguel's canon events is his family has to die, right?
So then like, that undoes the whole movie because Miles Morales can have his own canon events where someone else could die. One of his friends could die.
Well, that's probably how they're going to get out of it. Like, as good as these movies are, it's probably going to be some stupid bullshit that like fixes it at the end, right?
Gwen Stacy dies and he loses someone.
That would be heartbreaking. That would be so heartbreaking. That's the craziest thing to me. I didn't even get to my main point. That's the craziest thing about the fact that this is half a movie. I have no idea. I was listening to an interviewer or a reviewer, and he's like, and his other two podcast partners were like giving him a lot of shit because it was like, you didn't like this movie? And he's like, it's not that I don't know if I like this movie. It's half a movie. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it's saying yet. And I can't like give it my seal of approval before I know like what's the message, what's the theme, because it literally could go either way. It could say you need to face tragedy, you need to let your father die, or you can save anyone, you're in charge of your own destiny.
Yeah,
like, it's probably that one, but it really easily could go the other way. But anyway, showing Miguel's backstory and his motivation, like really worked for me. Like I really enjoyed these. All these sequences are just so heartfelt and real. Where it's like maybe it got a little crazy with how far he was going to try to stop Miles, but like it was so much to save the world.
Yeah.
Right? Like it was so much to just not let what happened to him happen to someone else. And like that sounds like a Spider-Man thing. right? This is to an extreme, close to the point where maybe it's not Spider-Man because he's so malicious. But how malicious is he even really? Like, he doesn't do anything wrong. Like, he's a little scary and aggressive, but he doesn't like kill people on his way. He's literally just trying to stop Miles from going to his universe and letting it fall into a giant black hole. And like,
Yeah.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Where there's like, who's the villain here? You know? Like, obviously I'm supposed to side with Miles, but like, it's really like you're not sure. And, you know, that's brave for a movie to do, I think, you know?
Yeah, I feel like it's that thing where it's like he is the villain because he's trying to be the good guy. He thinks he's doing the right thing, and that's always a more compelling villain than just a bad guy for bad guy's sake.
Yes.
Right? Every villain is the hero of their own story kind of thing. Like,
yeah,
I
totally
really
like
that. And I like that not only that, but it also splits the team, right? Like you have Spider-Man who are going to be on Miles' side, and you have Spider-Man that are going to be on Miguel O'Hara's side.
It felt really nice in the last moments of the film when you saw Miles have touched these people's lives, and they're like, "We're going to help Miles."
Yeah,
Spider-Gwen and Peter B. Parker, whatever, and a couple others, and it felt really good. It felt really nice in that moment. Just to jump around, I think one of my favorite parts of the movie, truly one of my favorite parts of the movie, was when Gwen went back to her world again and had to face her father.
Oh, God,
and
I love
it
that.
was, the whole movie has been really capitalizing on its art form, changing it to be comic booky, changing the styles. But this was like art. They let the artist bleed the world and make it watercolor, and like it kept changing back and forth from perspectives to like see the ache and the pain, and the acting was the voice acting was so on point. I know it was Haley Steinfeld, I don't know, I'm sorry, who plays Captain Stacy, but like this father and daughter, it was so I was choking up. It was so good.
Yeah. No, I agree. The way that the room changed color was just so impressive, and it was a beautiful, tender moment. She left him. She thought that she could never return to her home. She was forced to return home and forced to face the consequences, and it worked out, you know? I don't like the more I think about it, the less I like, because we just kind of touched on that conversation a little bit, right? Like, what does it mean to lose someone? What does it mean to be Spider-Man? Does it mean that you lose a person? Do you specifically lose a captain?
You have to lose an Uncle Ben and a captain.
You have to lose Spider-Man? A captain to be he is no longer captain, and she's like, oh great, we're done. And as an audience, we're led to believe, oh great, she's safe from trauma.
That's stupid. Everything else is so good that you let it go, but that is stupid. Yes,
it's stupid.
Trauma making you Spider-Man makes sense.
Yes.
Specifically, a captain dying is stupid as hell. And his dad's been completely fine because he didn't get a promotion, but now that he's going to get a promotion, he's going to die.
Yeah, That's and it's like obviously like
stupid.
Different. If you're not Peter Parker, you have a different origin story, right? Like, so Spider-Gwen lost Peter Parker, but she was on track to lose a captain.
But they're still counting her as a Spider-Man.
Yeah, so then technically, after that, she still doesn't fit the criteria for being a Spider-Man.
Yeah, she didn't have a captain die.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agreed. That is the one suspension of disbelief in the movie that I think you need to have, because the whole crux of this canon events and Miguel being just stupid and wrong hinges on this one
exactly
thing.
But it's also
but then the logic of the movie is stupid, but like the logic of the characters makes sense because it happens to Indian Pavatar, the Indian Spider-Man, where they don't kill the captain and a giant black hole of abyss forms because that universe is going to maybe be destroyed without the captain dying. So like in story, it's correct, but you're right. The logic of it's stupid. What, Old Man Ram? I don't understand what I'm saying. Is it really different origin story? New York City, Mumbai, not Gwen was about to die.
I don't know.
I mean, also, does your Gwen have to die? I mean, that was an important part of Peter Parker's.
Yeah, well, a loved one has to die. Well, it doesn't matter, right? Because I think the whole thing about
the Uncle Ben makes sense.
The whole thing about Miles Morales is that his event is going to happen soon, and they want to prevent another black hole. So that's what's happening. So Gwen's events could happen just later, and they don't know that necessarily.
I think it's just usually a captain, and they said it's a captain, and him being a captain soon is indicative of it. Probably what they're trying to say. Oh, you're Old Man Ram. They both die. I'm pretty sure in the comics. I'm pretty sure Gwen dies and her dad dies. don't they?
Mhm.
In the comics? Yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
both die. But I think Gwen dies first, I believe. Maybe not. I
But,
don't remember.
but in the
That was
movie,
the 60s.
they do make a big deal about the captain, right? Because her whole
Yeah.
thing is like, oh, he's not captain anymore. He's safe. And then it's
Yeah.
Miles Morales is like, my dad's about to be captain. He's in danger. So they
Yeah.
do definitely mention a captain
Yeah.
role.
But the thing is, Gwen's canon event already happened. It was Peter Parker dying, right? Peter Parker was like her Uncle Ben.
But you get multiple canon events,
Sure.
right? That was part of
But
it.
only the one Uncle Ben one is the one, like a traumatic
death, I guess,
of a
is
loved
the main
one should be it. That's if we're really like splitting hairs.
Yeah, Uncle Aaron was Miles.
Uncle Aaron was Miles. Yeah.
That was his uncle.
His uncle. Honestly, the logic is kind of making sense now. Oh, am I frozen? I fixed
No,
it.
you fixed it.
But honestly, his uncle died. Honestly, that kind of like fits. Honestly,
That's true.
a lot of that kind of like goes to the movie of like, actually, the movie's like completely right, and it's like smart writing, and that like totally works. Okay, well, I don't know, whatever.
It works.
Whatever.
It works.
Yeah.
It's smart, but it is like
Stupid.
it's I understand the relief in the moment, but Gwen definitely has to be like, well, someone else in my fucking life is gonna die, and I would like to prevent that. Like,
She should just name her pet bunny Captain and then be done with it.
there you go. That's how you get out of it.
That's how you
Loopholes.
get out of it. They're loopholes. What did you think of the fact that Miles went to the wrong universe? You noticed right away that he was going to Earth 42.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I did too. I wish I didn't. It's one of those moments where I was like, oh, I wish I didn't notice that, because they played out the
Yeah.
mistake for a little too long. Like, I think Lexi was there and she didn't notice the 42. She was like, oh wow. And then it all dawned on her and it all
Immediately,
came together.
though, yeah.
Yeah. But I was like, oh, he's going to 42. Clearly, he's not from
Yeah.
that Earth. It says 42 right
There
there.
was
I'm
like
up to
it says
date.
42 on the screen is the thing.
Yeah.
Like
They
they
said it right
played
there.
it out like, oh, what universe is he in? Oh, it's so weird. But they just showed a big 42 on the screen, but right beforehand, so you know he's going to 42.
Yeah, I think they meant that to be. I think we're just very observant. I honestly think it was supposed to be a rewatch. You're supposed to notice that on the rewatch thing.
Okay.
I think we're just so in tune with the numbers and the universes. I don't think it's hard to get one past us. But it got past Lexi. It got past someone who doesn't know this stuff. You know, and I think it will get past most people. But for us who knew it was happening, it felt a little long. I was
Darren
like,
also noticed. She was like 42. It was on the screen.
Darren watches a lot of movies. She's a fucking nerd. Don't try to pretend like Darren's not a fucking nerd. Don't fucking sit here and tell me Darren doesn't know about lots of fucking nerdy shit.
You know what's really nice?
Lexi's not a fucking nerd. Darren's a nerd.
You know what's really nice? I came home one day and Darren was just reading Fables because I had been like, oh, I really like it. And I was like, yeah.
That's the dream.
I don't think she's going to finish it. I don't
She
know,
doesn't
because I
need
don't
to
know if
finish
she
it.
liked it at all. And I don't want her to have to finish something if she doesn't like it. But
Sure,
We'll see.
you should. She should read the first like 4 or 5 volumes of it, though. It gets really, really great,
Mhm.
and then it gets the Crazy Town. You don't have to keep reading it or anything.
Yeah.
The first volume is really set up. The second volume isn't as good as the first, and then the third and fourth really. Why am I talking about Fables now? Anyway, so anyway, I thought that was a little weird. It took a little long for us who like noticed it,
Mhm.
but otherwise, I think it was. I'm getting like feedback in my headphones.
No,
You
I
get
don't hear
feedback from me?
anything.
It stopped.
Okay, cool.
Ignore me.
Anyway, we both know it is 42 on the screen. So it was weird that they played it so hard. It's like, oh, ooh, what's going to happen? Kind of
A
deal.
couple call outs to things that I noticed my first watch. I'm excited for my rewatch and to watch this video that you watched that told you everything. A couple things I noticed I really liked. I loved the Scarlet Spider was deep and brooding, and
Mhm.
you found it was what's his face?
Andy Samberg.
Andy Samberg, really funny, great. I loved Spectacular Spider-Man showing up, being Spectacular Spider-Man style, and it was obviously the voice actor.
Mhm.
I loved that it was the PlayStation game guy, Yuri, whatever.
Oh
and
my
it was him,
God.
and it was
man.
there.
Like,
Love that. I loved Childish Gambino being in the Prowler costume. I mean, yes, that's a throwback to the movies because he was in the movies, but I know the lore of this. None of this would exist if he just wasn't a good comedian.
yeah.
And it was just really cool to have him there. I just hope that they do something with it and it comes to
Same.
fruition. And they're trying to make a live action movie right now.
Yeah.
They're in the preliminary stages. It won't be as good, but hopefully it'll be okay. And I think he probably has a pretty good shot to be in it because
Yeah.
he's the guy. I love that. God, I really, really got upset at the Venom bit. That was unnecessary. That was an Easter egg that I did not need.
I don't remember the Venom bit. What are you talking about?
The Spot is going to different universes, and he goes to the bodega lady from the Venom movie.
Yeah. Got it.
And it's a long It's like a
She
minute
got a
and
lot.
a half.
I honestly, I thought it was funny,
It was kind of funny.
but it was unnecessary.
I just hated those movies aren't good. It just don't connect it with them.
Yeah.
You know, those movies aren't the same universe to me. The same.
And they're not.
Not even the same multiverse. No, they're in the
This is
multiverse
not the
now.
same multiverse.
Yeah, I don't even want them in my multiverse. I don't even want them. I want them gone. I do not want Morbius to ever
No,
show up.
Morbius is going to show up.
Tom
And next spot's going to go visit
Tom
Morbius.
Holland.
And bring him in.
Well, you don't think that they're going to try to make a Tom Holland film where it's Venom and Morbius
100%.
and Kraven the Hunter?
100%.
It's going to, and that sucks.
It's going to be the worst movie ever.
You know, it's just a shame we're not going to get those things in the MCU because as much as we complain, they're doing a lot of really cool things over there. Overall, it's cohesive and stuff. Anyway, but and also the Lego Spider-Man, great.
Oh God,
Great.
the fact that they grabbed
One of the best of
a
us.
kid. Did you hear about that?
Yes, I did.
They
An
grabbed a
Instagram
kid who made like a little Spider-Man intro on YouTube, and they're like, that kid, and they hired him to do the Spider-Man sequence in the film, and it was awesome.
Beautiful, wonderful, loved
I
it.
love that.
Love that. And I love that they're like he's one of the best. He's one of the best of us. And then honestly, I'm excited for the rewatch because there's just so many Spider-Man during the Spider Society thing. And then the movie is just fun where they all point to each other and it fades out and they point even more. And like, I'm just so excited to look at them all. And the spider buggies in there and it's thing and like all these things.
Someone
it's just so
put
good.
this that they said, if you exist as a person and you know what Spider-Man is, there's an Easter egg in there for you. Like,
yeah,
there's just an Easter egg for every single thing. And as knowledgeable as you are about Spider-Man, or as much as you don't know about Spider-Man, you will see a reference to something of Spider-Man that you will understand that Easter egg.
Yes. Love that. Any call outs that you want to make about like little Easter eggs or things, or I sorry, I mentioned a lot of them, but that you really loved, even ones that I already said?
I mean, just the fact that they had so many references to so many different things, and they really squeezed in like different versions of the comic books, different superhero versions. Like I really, really enjoyed all of that. I don't think that there was a Spider-Man missing that I wanted to see, but I do want a little bit. I want Ben Reilly to not get shafted. I want the Spider-Man from the animated series, the 90s animated series, to have a couple of lines.
Speaking, he was there for a second. I saw him,
of course.
right?
Every Spider-Man was there. PS1 Spider-Man was there. Like,
I saw
the Spider-Man from the PS1 games was there. The Spider-Man
and,
from the
Tobey Maguire
games,
reference,
Tobey Maguire,
Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield.
Yeah,
they're
we
all
want them
there.
to have a line or two. Yeah, I understand. I agree.
Yeah.
That 90s cartoon was so important. Old Man Ram in the chat, I wanted to call this out. I demand a Turkish Spider-Man reference in the next film. That's the crazy thing. There totally could have been one there. Totally could have been.
The Spider-Man Gundam from the Japanese Spider-Man TV series. I want that to make an appearance. That would be sick. That would be sick. Like he pushes the watch and it shows up. It's in the Spiderverse comic book.
No, I could have been there. I mean,
I know.
During that big moment, there were so many I couldn't see it. You know, you have to like literally fine tooth comb. But they also, I heard them say in an interview or something, they didn't use everything they have because there's another movie.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
So like,
there's going to be a lot more going to get screen time, which is going to be exciting. Also,
whoa, Old Man Ram just showed us an image. I didn't see this. The mom snaps a Puerto Rican flag.
Oh, I love that.
Hell yeah. Thanks, Old Man Ram.
I also, speaking of things that we want to see in the Spider-Man movie, in the Spider-Verse comic book, there's one line of dialogue where there's two Spider-Man talking about the amount of Japanese Spider-Man there are. And they're like, that's weird. And the other one says, why would that be weird? And he goes, oh no, am I the racist Spider-Man?
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
I want stuff like that in there too. When you are seeing the Spider-Man talk amongst themselves.
That is funny. I want that as well.
That's it.
I love that. I love that so much. That's great. But yeah, overall, I think just the vibes, gosh, again, it's so hard for me to review this movie without just saying hyperbolic phrasing, but it's magic.
Yes,
it was just magic.
Also, look, animators need for video games, for TV shows, for movies, animation, effects artists, like need to be compensated, and they need to actually work
compensated.
reasonable
That's-
hours.
Yeah.
Not have
Hire,
to
more
go into
more
overtime.
help hired.
Something. We
Hire
need
help.
to fix the situation.
Help
That
hire.
needs to happen
Yeah.
because this movie is incredible, but no one's going to learn the
Apparently.
right lessons from the film because it made a lot of money.
Yeah, they're like, well, you did it, so do it again.
Yeah.
What are you complaining about? You did it the one time. Just do it again.
And I mean, if you look at what's happening with the Marvel Secret Invasion thing, where they used AI art for the entire intro sequence, like that,
Really?
it looks like shit. You know, it feels soulless. And
whoa, I didn't even
it's-
see this.
it's interesting because this is what animation could be across the
Yeah.
Spiderverse, stuff like that. But if we keep working our people to the bone, we're gonna have less and less people who are willing to animate shit,
Wow, that's crazy.
and we're gonna
I
get
don't think
less
you're right
movies
with
like
that.
this.
I wonder if that movie's going to be good. I don't
What?
know. Or not that movie, that series. Secret
That's
Invasion.
fine.
I don't know.
If
I'm
they're
sure
gonna
it'll be
ruin,
fine.
they're gonna ruin Secret Invasion like they ruin everything else.
Oh my god, they
It'll
don't
be
ruin
fine.
everything. Stop being so
It'll be fine.
hard. The MCU's okay.
I-
It's not
look,
bad.
I have not rewatched an MCU movie. Like I am
And
hyped
because
when
they're
I watch
so good,
them.
you don't
I
have
like
to.
them. I enjoy them. And then the second I have to think about it, I'm like, ah. I'll like ride that hype with you and talk about it on the podcast and be like, yeah,
Yeah.
no, I had fun. And then I'll like, would I ever watch that movie again? No, I wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even the best ones I don't really rewatch. But
Yeah.
to be fair, I didn't rewatch Into the Spider-Verse. We don't watch
But
movies, so it's not really
I did.
good, but-
I've watched the movie like 3 times, I think.
loser.
I love
Cool.
it. It's great. It's a good movie.
I don't rewatch stuff till way later. Like I just rewatched the Matrix movies. Those are 20 years old. Marcus, any other big major things you want to talk about for this Spider-Man movie? I mean, we hit the big beats, we hit our favorite moments,
Mm-hmm.
Just to call out Spider-Punk one more time. Daniel
Oh
Kaluuya
my
did
God.
such a great job.
What a cool
you know.
character. What a good job. I
Yeah,
love
like
him.
it's almost comedic, but like he's spitting truth.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I just like love that like anarchist nature of it.
He's also
You know?
smart. He's like built a teleportation device. Like he knows his shit. He's cool. He's suave. I definitely want to see a lot more of him in the third movie.
Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be a lot of things. I think this an equal amount of everybody's.
fair.
More
Fair
is
enough.
it's hard to.
Fair. I do
hard
want to
to,
see
like-
different Spider-Man also. But
That's hard, right? Yeah, like
Yeah.
how do they?
also the
but so-
animation styles of like people being animated
he
on
was so
ones,
different,
people
right?
being animated on
poppy-
2s, people being animated
Yeah.
on 3s. Like I really like that.
I don't even know what to like. It's so above me to even know what any of that stuff even is. It was just so cool.
Yeah.
It was just so
Yeah.
freaking cool. Well, I think the only other thing to really talk about is like, what's next, dude? Like, my man, what's it gonna be like?
Well,
I mean, there's
look,
some things that
we-
are super obvious. Obviously, the
Yes.
other team
They
is
have to
gonna
fight
come out Miles.
Spot. They have to fight the other team.
We didn't even talk about Spot.
We
Oh
have
my
not
god!
talked about Spot once.
Spot was fire. It started so silly.
Mhm.
David Schwimmer? No, not David Schwimmer. That's Friends guy.
The guy who's always in all those
David
Wes
Jason
Anderson movies.
Schwartzman. Jason Schwartzman. That's it. David Schwimmer, the Friends guy. He did such a good job. He was so
did.
silly, and him being with Miles, and like this movie was so good because it had room to play in that way,
Yeah.
right? It had room to like
Mhm.
have these silly exchanges, like, no, I'm trying to get to my interview. You're like messing me up at the beginning of the movie, and then obviously he gets more and more powerful. I remember the Spot from the '90s cartoon, and like, just kind of scary. And this one made him
I
like a
remember him
lot
from the 90s
scarier.
cartoon.
Oh, I do. It's just so silly. You jump into the spot and it comes out another spot.
He
Like,
was in
it's-
the 90s cartoon?
Yeah, totally.
Hmm.
And I think it was people didn't like it. Like I think I looked at it and people were like, "That was one of the bad episodes," and I was like, "Psh, "I thought it was fire," but I was also 6, so what do I know? Yeah, you're like you're.
I
so
gotta-
wrong,
I don't
but I'm so
know.
right. No, I'm so right. I looked. I know I'm right because because for a second I thought he was created in that show
Mm.
like Harley Quinn. But he's not. He's from the comics. I just never read him in the comics.
Okay, I
only
see.
ever saw him in the show.
He
I
was
never
in the
read him in
show,
a comic. But
but
apparently
he-
he was in the comics first.
I believe that, yeah. Because he was like a B villain who's never been taken seriously. And then
Sure. I just never have read him in a comic.
I read him in the comic book that they reference a lot, where like Spider-Man goes to punch him and then he punches himself in the face. Like that was kind of a cool issue.
Yeah, but so he'll come, they'll fight. The only thing that the only thing that this movie is making me think like, is this a bad thing? Is like after Miles gets out of 42 and goes to his Earth, does that mean we're done going to other Earths? Because like we're at the moment. I think that's a little disappointing, because if I'm gonna get a whole other 2-hour movie, like there's like an hour left, but they need to fill up another hour. So like, are we going to other Earths? Oh, maybe they probably fight through Earths, right? That's what it is. That would probably be what happens,
the
right?
other spider people are hunting him, right? And I also think that we're not like, the movie's not going to end with them closing the multiverse. I think the movie's going to end with them all kind of uniting and Miles being a part of this multiverse, and we'll see them being like, oh, I get to travel with my best friend Gwen, and we get to like fight crime across multiverses, kind of thing.
Sure.
Like maybe they do set up a spider police force that is like trying to help each other. They do find a way to close the canon events and stop them from happening in the way that they do.
Sure. But also like, yeah, sure. I'm just wondering, like, you and I are not as good as these people are, and we could wrap the movie up in 45 minutes. There's only a third act missing.
That's true.
We're going to get a 2-hour movie.
Well, no, because look, we have to resolve the Spot thing, which isn't just going to be a battle, right? Like if we're working up to this whole thing, it's not just going to be a fight with the Spot. It's going to be
a fight between the Spider people and Spot.
An emotional resolution. Spot might even end up being a good guy at the end of it, right?
That would be wild. Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe Spot helps them with accessing the multiverses and closing the canon events. Like,
God damn it. I hate you. I hate you so much. I hate you so much when you're so freaking right about something. The canon events imploding are literally giant black holes.
Yeah.
He controls the giant black holes. Whatever. Okay, fine. Okay, whatever. I hate doing these thought experiments. I hate it. Because like I'm like trying to like be silly and you just like spew out a random fact that's like so true and that's gonna be so correct that you're gonna be so like in your ass about how smart you are. And I can't say anything because you were so right and so creative and so correct about the way they're obviously setting up to finish it. Like, what can I add to that? Like, I can't add a quippy snip about how Spot's gonna go to a dark dimension and like do some and fight through worlds and they're gonna like see images of worlds really quick. When you're like, no, obviously Spot's gonna resolve the thing, maybe turn into a good guy and stop these canon events. Whatever. Suck a dick. Are you done?
Sorry.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? Is there anything else you want to talk about? You done? Is there anything else?
Oh no.
I'm done. I have nothing else to say.
I'm sorry. Well, you know what? Maybe they have.
It's fine. No, it's cool.
They fart.
Yeah, they fart so much.
Fart so much. It fixes the multiverse.
Spider fart.
We haven't seen that yet. Where's Spider fart?
No. Where's Spider
Justice
fart?
for Spider fart.
Justice for Spider.
Where's Spider? Oh, we have Spider Baby. That's Mayday Parker.
Also cool. That was a cool because Mayday Parker is the name of that Spider Girl comic that I read way back in the day. And canonically, it's not always their kid's name, but like a lot of the time that is it's a few times. So it's just nice. It just reminds me of my childhood. It's nostalgic.
You know what's gonna happen?
Go ahead.
They're gonna seal up all the multiverses. All the Spider-Men are gonna be locked away, and
so there's no more Spider Society.
And their Mary Janes are all gonna get pregnant with a random guy and have 2 kids, and then it'll follow in line with what's happening in the comic book series.
And that way, we're all still not sure whether or not Spider-Man fucks because he doesn't have the kid.
Bring it all back to the beginning, baby.
The movie's great. That's it. We're excited for the next one. I can't believe we're waiting. I couldn't have imagined a world where I was like okay with stopping halfway through a movie. But it was just too good.
I agree.
I was in awe. No after credits scene, just like that's the end of the movie. Come back in a year to finish it.
Yeah, it's what's funny? It's weird that we can't like invest in movies. Like
stock wise? Like
yeah, like it's just weird that like okay, we want animators to be paid more. We want movies to get made, but we can't give money to movies for them to make it. and we can't get a return on that money in any way. Like, that's just weird.
Interesting. As opposed to like
being
when
we
Critical
can't be
Role
investors.
made their first season of their show. They raised $11 million,
right?
Yeah. They kickstarted it. Nothing like that exists for. I feel like they've wanted to crack the code on that for a long time, because if they told me, hey, we're gonna make Spider-Man 3, give us $15 now, I'd be like, cool.
Yeah, 100%.
I wouldn't even think about it. I wouldn't even like need anything. I would just want to be involved.
Yeah.
And
get your name in
and
the credits.
This movie's crushing it. The budget, this budget seems low. Wow. Pay animators way more. The budget. Guess what the budget is for this movie?
100 million?
Okay, well, shut up. Whatever.
How much was it?
Fine, whatever. Oh, you're looking at it?
No. I have Paviter Parker's name up just in case we said it again.
All right. Well, the budget of this movie was $100 million.
Oh, fuck yeah. Let's go. Did he make $200 million?
No, the box office so far is 506.
Wow. That's
this movie
good.
might beat Guardians
for
the summer, which is huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Guardians of the Galaxy right now, their box office is 824.
Wow.
But I feel like, but their budget was 250. But the Guardians' legs for the summer is probably pretty much done. There's other comparable things. People are still going to take their kids and stuff to see Across the Spider-Verse, right? Like it might not beat it, but the fact that it's like even a discussion is wild and great and great for animated films and great for Spider-Man films. Not so good because Sony still is going to keep Spider-Man because of this, but like, whatever.
Yeah. It's
anyway,
weird.
Marcus,
I think you touched on a point. We should hire us. We'll steal money from people. But I feel like it's weird. I feel like they should let you pre-order movies. We're on to something. They should let you pre-order movies, and then just like you can either get the at home or get a ticket for your movie theater or something like that. So that way they can know, oh, you know what? This isn't worth releasing in cinema. We'll just release it at home.
More things would be made, I think. They don't make middle budget movies anymore, right? They make things that are dirt cheap and big movies. They don't make middle. Like Blumhouse is one of the only ones that's still doing it.
Yeah.
And A24 kind of. Like those are that's it. And that's it. Nobody else makes them. There's Old Man Ram in the chat says, I think animation just costs so much it's difficult to kickstart. I don't think that's true. This movie only costs $100 million, and it's pretty much the biggest animated movie ever.
I mean, and Critical Role,
I'm basing that off of nothing.
Kickstarted their first season animated, which was an animated TV series.
Yeah, and that was they made 11. They raised 11 million. That was enough to do it, right?
Yeah.
Originally they wanted 1 million to make a 140-minute special. And then as it got higher, they're like, cool, we'll make 2 episodes. And then once it got past like 5 million, they were like, oh, we can make a whole season.
Yeah.
So apparently a season of animated television costs 10 million and a whole movie costs 100 million at this level. I mean, what do you think, honestly, just because we're talking about, what do you think the Mario Brothers movie cost
to make? With
probably
Chris Pratt's budget in salary in there? I would say probably like $250 million.
100 million, exact same.
Oh, wow.
Literally exactly the same. And what about that Kraken movie coming out, right? Like that's a good barometer. Like Kraken,
I don't know what the hell are you talking about.
I'm a teenage Kraken. I'm a teenage Kraken girl.
Ninja Krakens. 100 million.
You know what I'm talking about? Ruby Gilman,
100
teenage
million.
Kraken. Is there no budget yet? What's the budget? I guess it hasn't come out yet. Is there no budget? It doesn't say. Oh, what about Big Hero 6? What was Big Hero 6 is? Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, now you're just
I'm gonna keep guessing 100 million.
165 million. They pay too much for that film. I like the movie.
A lot of studies show salaries are not increasing in the same way, and that's 165 million. We made Across Spiderverse for 100 million. That's crazy.
Honestly, dude, they needed to pay. Elemental, which I saw, great little Pixar film. It was Zootopia with elements and stuff. Okay. It was great. It was a rom-com. It was a rom-com animated. It was 200 million budget. But honestly, I understand that because the graphics and everything were actually pretty like spectacular. It's worth seeing in theaters just for the fire and the water of it all. Guess how much that movie made though?
50 million.
63 million. Yeah.
Wow.
It's not. We might be at the end of an era of getting Pixar movies in theaters, or Pixar movies. Period. They're just gonna make Toy Story 5 and Finding Nemo 6.
I'm okay with
Marcus,
that.
We're off track. Anything else you'd like to talk about for Across the Spider-Verse?
Nope. It was a beautiful film.
I think you're a beautiful person.
Thank
Marcus, Ask me some questions.
Nick, did you like the movie?
Hell yeah.
Woo!
Maybe the best movie of the summer. And I liked Guardians a lot, dude.
Yeah.
But like this is maybe one of the best movies of the year. Like what else has come out in 2023? I don't even know off the top of my head, but like Across the Spiderverse is like right in contention with the best of the best here because I mean I'm looking now. I kind of like Scream 6. John Wick 4 was cool and good. Mario Brothers was fun, but like this is totally the movie of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine anything coming out or that has come out that's gonna beat this.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because it's an animated Spider-Man movie.
I know.
Crazy.
Silly. Would you recommend this film?
Oh my God, that's the crazy thing. This is such... Everyone should see this movie. This movie does not make a large barrier of entry. Usually when you're this nerdy, this in-depth, this correct to comics, there's sometimes a little bit of a barrier of entry, right?
Yeah.
You know? None. This feels right in line with just... It's just a human story. Like right away. And all you have to know is Spider-Man's a superhero and there's alternate universes. They explain everything perfectly. We're going to next week talk about another movie that explains multiverses. And let me tell you, I'll save it for next week. What's the last question? I'll save it for next week.
Are you going to see
Will I be watching
the next one?
Beyond the Spiderverse, 100%.
Hell yeah.
Opening weekend. You know,
Opening weekend. Let's go.
It's where I opening weekend any movies anymore. But the Spider-Verse movies, 100%. Some of the best movies ever.
Honestly, animation-wise, I'm excited for the new Ninja Turtles movie.
Oh, we didn't even talk about it. Yes, obviously it influenced what was it? We're the Millers? We're the Crank? That robot movie that was on Netflix?
It influenced like every movie since. Every animated movie since Into the Spider-Verse.
That was just the same studio. That was a Sony movie. But yeah, 100%. And TMNT looks fun. Looks great.
Yeah.
Like I know it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Not everyone likes Seth Rogen. But like, I think it looks fun. And I think it was you who said the point of this movie is to show them as teenagers because we've never actually seen that. And like, I love that. There's some kids actually voicing the turtles, and that's so cool. And
never been done before.
And while this movie shows Spider-Man in Spider-Man style, in his own style for Miles Morales, that's new to this, there's moments of that movie, TMNT, that look like the old comics. And it's just like, that looks cool and great. And that's awesome. And the style works. And the style is really just honoring, right? It is its own thing. It's like this kinetic, weird, like, I can't even describe it. It's so cool.
Yeah. But it's just
how would you describe it?
The Into the Spider-Verse?
Yeah, the animation style. Yeah.
I think kinetic's a good word.
Kinetic? Yeah.
It's kinetic. I think that it's using all of the tools in your tool bag to create an animation. I feel like a lot of times when we create stuff, we get told it's supposed to be this way. And Into the Spider-Verse is, no, we're going to do our own thing. And that's what's interesting.
It feels a little like fight scenes from anime a little bit, where they like, not in style wise, but in terms of like, rationale, where in anime fighting scenes they let them not look human for a second to emphasize this thing in this weird way, and they're not having to fit. Like a Naruto does not look the same in a fight scene as he does when he's talking, right? They like change things.
I feel like they're breaking the rules, kind of like I was saying, they're breaking the rules of like conventional animations to get something across. And I feel like
to get to the meat of the story.
And you're right about the anime fight scenes. That's a good example.
I mean, I always just think of the Naruto when you slow some of those downs, the faces are like to like get to the thing. But when you're watching, it's like perfect.
It looks beautiful.
Yeah. And I wonder if there would be moments for these movies too, where if you slow them down, they would like be crazy.
I mean, the fact that people are animated on 1s, 2s, and 3s is like crazy.
It's crazy. It's so crazy.
I feel like I imagine if you pause it at different moments, it must look weird because different people are in different phases of their movement.
They literally might not. Spider-Punk like zipped in and out. He literally might not be there on some of the frames, right? Which is so cool and interesting. Anyway, Marius, next week we will be watching The Flash. Honestly, I gotta Google what the freak the name of this movie. Worlds Collide? Is that what
I have no idea.
The title of this movie is? Though it just comes up as The Flash. I'm pretty sure the tagline is The
Miller's
Flash
Day
Worlds
Off.
Collide. Jesus Christ. We are going to have a good time. Flash is obviously very important over here. So we will be talking about that next week. That's my challenge to Marcus. We will be here Tuesday at
9 p.m.
We might not be. We might be here earlier. So I'm just gonna say Tuesday night. Check our Instagrams and stuff.
Got it.
Because I'm not the same schedule. So Tuesday night we'll be here next week, like we always are. Twitch.tv/NowTryThisCast. If you want to join the conversation, let us know what we're gonna be doing next month. You go to patreon.com/NowTryThisCast. Get on us on Instagram, and then if you join the Patreon, you can get on the Discord, become part of the group. But also on top of all that, if you can't do any of that, you can't give us money, you can't follow us on Twitch. Just leave a review, leave a little 5 stars. Let us know that you're interested in the content and let us know what more you would like to see. We're going to shake things up pretty soon. So we would love feedback on what you like, what you don't like, what suggestions you have of stuff. We would love to hear it. Thank you for coming out.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We love you. Good night. And remember to go out there and try some things.
Good night.
Friends get together so they can try things. How about it? It's podcast so that you can try things. Now we will stop singing so that we can all now try this.
Can I tell you a little anecdote?
Uh-huh.
So I have to stop teaching a lot of my students because I'm going to the Hamptons this summer for work. And one of them gave me a little gift, a little card, a little like these beads and an N. It was very cute. But she also brought me a piece of coral reef from her vacation. And her vacation was to Puerto Rico. And I was like, Emma, did you know that this is where my family's from? And she was like, oh no, that's so cool. And it was just this gift from this innocent child who did not have to give me a gift. No one told her to. She just wanted to. And it was from Puerto Rico. And I almost cried. It was just so sweet. It was so sweet.
That's really sweet.
I was like,
I love that.